Hi everyone, welcome back to Total War Therapy, and today we're gonna make the tier list of every single Monstrous Infantry unit in Total War Warhammer 3, from any faction, Ogre Kingdoms included, divided not by faction but by category. It's very early morning here in Italy. I have tomorrow the flight for my No Technology spiritual retreat, and I have still so many videos to make because I wanna keep being with you with my soul, even if not with my body. Then let's begin. Hi, I'm Alberto, I'm a real person, and here you will find the beginner's guide, the battle unit roster, tier list, ranking, and many shorts. So if you wanna support the channel, please consider to subscribe. Let's start with the Minotaurs, a very powerful breed of the beastmen that is also included in the Khorne roster, and we'll talk about the differences very soon. But for now, let's start with the first version that you will be able to recruit in your beastmen campaign, the Minotaurs with the dual axes, that they get, compared to the other versions, the bonus versus infantry. Now, their armor is very light. You have to be very careful of missile attack. The speed is great enough to try to circle around the enemy and attack from the back. Melee attack and melee defense both are quite low, but at the end they end up to be very powerful for some reason. Even the charge itself, it's it's not that big. What they have is an ability that increase their stats with the time engaging combat and with all the kills that they made. And then they have the Woodsman attribute that allow them to fight into the forest with no penalties. For me, it's a great unit, and for now I will put it into the A tier. I may change my mind with all the other units coming to the tier list, because of course, Monstrous Infantry are all very powerful, so I don't know at the end who will be, at the bottom of the ranking. Then there is the version with the shield. Honestly, I love this because you can basically use it as your front line. You will be more protected from missile attacks, from arrows. You will get more armor and more melee defense, and you will sacrifice, of course, the anti-infantry bonus and a very little part of charge bonus. So overall, for me, they are better. I mean, they still do the job of the generic Minotaurs, but they are more defended. And yeah, then it's very cool to get these monsters with the shield. That's why for now I will put it into the S tier. I completely over recruit them in my campaign. And then there is the version with the dual weapons. This is another very great one, because in the late game, when you will have to fight against monsters and cavalry, they are just crazy. Okay, they can deal with everything. Of course, in the Beastmen roster, there are other options. There are the Kroxigors with the great weapons. There is the Gorgon if you are looking for some anti-large monsters, but still I think they are perfect for what they do. That's why for now we will put them into the S tier. Now we get the versions of Khorne. Now, compared to the normal version, they get plenty more of armor, but a little less of leadership, speed, and melee defense. Then they get the frenzy attribute and the spell resistance. So they are enhanced version of the Minotaurs. That's why we'll put them into the S tier. They do the same. I think they could have made them a little, I don't know, they could have had something different, maybe some weapon variation. I was a little disappointed when they announced that they were coming to the game, but I mean, they were just beastmen with the reskin, even if a nice reskin. So we'll put them into the S tier. But I mean, I already can feel that probably all the others should go down at this point. And then we get the version with the great weapons that it's basically the same. It works in the same way. So all the other the upgraded attributes and stats compared to the Beastmen version, but yeah, more Khorne and greater. Okay, at the end I decided to change a little the list and put in the S tier only the Khorne Minotaurs, and putting the remaining one in, you know, just one tier below. And we can talk about the trolls. The first troll that is the same in the green skin and in the Warriors of Chaos roster. Okay, there is no difference, it's just the name, a little, I mean, just one is trolls and the other is Chaos trolls. They are this breed of Monstrous Infantry with still not that much armor. They are enough fast, but in this case I would not try to circle around the enemy. The melee attack and melee defense is still very low, but they attack in group, so in some way they are strong. The charge bonus is little and the weapon strength is good and it's armor piercing. Now you have to use them as a support Monstrous Infantry. You should not charge by yourself, but it's more, you know, to assist your front line, for example, to fight against the enemy front line, and they are great at this. They have the regeneration, so they are more resilient than you may expect, and that's why you should use them in some way as a tank, you know, to absorb part of the damage and of course to deal that too. Then we get the River Troll, that is my favorite version, if you wanna know. It still has the, I mean, all the trolls have the regeneration. In this case, they are more defensive. They have 40 of defense, they have more weapon strength and more charge bonus, but we are talking about very slight differences. And they get an ability that decrease the melee defense, if I remember correctly, of, sorry, it's not this, the River Troll, is this, that decrease the defense of the enemies nearby. And for me, honestly, I use a lot of them. Okay, I think they are my favorite version. That's why for now I will put them into the S tier. Then we get the Stone Troll, that is the most elite version in the green skin roster. In this case, they get more armor, more melee attack, more weapon strength, and more charge bonus, and also a couple of resistance, both physical and both missile and spell resistance, because they are made of stone, so they are more immune to spells and arrows. It makes sense. In this case, they are more the damage dealer. Okay, they are less defensive compared to the River Trolls, but they still deal a very great damage, and yeah, you should use them more to attack rather than defend. I don't recruit many of them, but they are great. I mean, I admit it. And then we get the Norscan Ice Trolls that are here. That basically they get more armor, more melee attack, more weapon strength, more charge bonus. In this way, they are closer to the to the Stone Trolls, but they get also they don't get the physical, the spell and the missile resistance, but the frostbite attack. So they will be able to reduce the speed of the enemy that they fight with. And of course, they're a little weak to fire because they're made of ice, apparently. Now, I mean, yeah, you have to use them in the same way, but in the Norscan roster. So if you want the generic trolls that are more a support, you can take this. If you want the version of more damage dealer that at the same time, that hit hard, but you can also grant some bonus, you can use them. But in this case, I think I will put them here, because I think that, maybe the frostbite can be good, but they are not supposed to chase down enemies, so reducing the speed, it's not that important attribute. And then we get the Bile Trolls, that is the version available for Nargol. That, compared to the normal troll, get more armor, more leadership, less... no, the speed is the same, sorry. I think yes. The melee attack is a little less, but it got the poison damage that, it's okay. And then more melee defense and more weapon strength. So it's just a troll with the Mark of Nargol, so more defensive and with the poison effect. And it also has, I think, another miasma that reduces the defense or the attack. I think the attack of the enemies nearby. And they're very, very good. Honestly, there are armies of Nargol where I recruited the Ogre, the Plague Ogre, and army where I recruit the Bile Trolls, and they're very great at what they do. even if I would not put them into the S tier, only because in the green skins there are other options, okay, to fill the same role, but definitely very good. And at the end we get the Chaos Trolls with the armor that are here. That is basically the exact same thing, but with more armor. That it's great because it's a lot of armor, okay, it's a 70. I think they reach more than 100 of armor. That is a huge difference, okay. It means that you will be far more protected against the missile attack, against a bunch of infantries surrounding you. And with the mechanic of the Warriors of Chaos, you can just upgrade them, so you don't even need to recruit them. That's why I will put them here, because they still get not that many upgrade in the in the melee stats and so on. And at this point I think I should put the basic version of the troll here, because I don't recruit them too much. Now let's talk about the Kroxigor, these crocodile beastmen that are available in the Lizardman roster. There are two versions, one available with the DLC, the Hunter and the Beast. Now the normal version is it's very armored. Okay, they have plenty of armor. They will be quite defended. Their speed is quite low, and in this faction units tend to be a little faster, so it's weird. The melee attack and melee defense are very low. I mean, it's unexpected. I cannot explain why. The weapon strength is armor piercing is high, and with the anti-infantry bonus, and then they have a very little charge bonus. Then they have some abilities like the missile resistance. They are the Kroxigors, so when they are close to the skinks units, they will get some buffs. And then they have the primal instinct that when their leadership or health, I don't remember, it goes a little down, they will have enhanced superpowers. Now, in the roster of the Lizardmen, there are many dinosaurs, there are many damage dealer. That's why they are not, that necessary. There are other options that may work better in some circumstances, but they're still strong. If you want to deal with a bunch of armored infantry, they are a very strong option. That's why I will put them into the B tier. And then there is the Sacred version that get more leadership, more melee attack with the magical damage. So very good if you wanna eat demons. And even if demons are not that armored most of the time. But yeah, then they get more weapon strength. They sacrifice the anti-infantry bonus, but believe me, who cares? Because at the end, I don't remember what is the amount of the bonus versus infantry of the generic version, but probably is around the same, so I mean definitely better. And then they get a little more of a charge bonus. I would expect honestly a special ability for them, because I mean they have still some magical fists if you see the model, but definitely better than the normal version. I recruit more. At the end I end up to replace the normal Kroxigor with them. That's why for now we will put them into the A tier. Now let's talk about the Skin Wolves, a unit that is definitely insane in the Norscan roster. They are these werewolves in very short, with no armor. I mean almost no armor. Their speed is incredible. Okay, for being a Monstrous Infantry they are definitely fast. The melee attack and melee defense is low. I think it's the lowest for now that with all the units that we already talked about, probably they have the lowest melee defense. The weapon strength is also very little compared to all the other beasties. I think around 50-60, and they get the anti-large bonus with a little of charge. Now you have to use them to chase down cavalry, monsters, mounted cavalry, and they are damnly good at that. They get the frenzy, the strider, remember, I think the physical resistance. The strider means that they can ignore the penalties of the terrain. The frenzy, the regeneration, so they will regenerate their hit points. So even if I think even if the stats themselves are quite low, with all the attributes and the abilities, they definitely gain gain a place in the A tier because I mean they are definitely too much, they are definitely overpowered. And then there is the version with the more armored, that it reduces dramatically the speed of I think 10 or 15 points, but they get plenty more of armor, still not that much. I mean, compared to other units, I would not use them as a tank or, you know, as a target for missile enemy attacks and so on, but they're definitely better. I mean, if you want to sacrifice a little of speed, probably you cannot, you know, chase chariots and heavy cav, but at the end I think they are better. I mean, that little more of armor, believe me, that is definitely helpful, because skin walls, if they attack the Roman version, if they attack like a group of infantry, even a mid-tier one, they may have they may have a lot of problems. That's why the armored version is definitely better. Now let's talk about the Fimir warrior. I don't know what they will be the bonuses that they will get with the next DLC, Tides of Torment, but I mean, yeah, probably if we would have made this video after the release of the DLC, that will be in the 2026, I assume, my evaluation could be different, but who knows. The Fimir warriors are these very elite monsters, and that's one of the problem, because I don't remember if they require a special building, maybe something like that, but they are very, very expensive, very, very elite, and even if they are very, very strong, you know, it will take a very long time before recruiting them. That's why I don't have so much experience with them. In any case, they are very, very armored, a lot, more than 100. Their speed is very, very low, so you have to use them as a support or tank, but not as predators. The melee attack and melee defense, the melee attack is actually low, but with the magical attack and an ability called Sundered Armor, where they basically reduce the armor of the enemies that they hit. That I don't understand this, because they have the armor piercing damage, probably is for all the other units that will hit the same target, that will get a easier job. And then yeah, the magical damage is so good against demons. The melee defense is very, very high, I mean, for a monstrous infantry of this kind. The weapon strength is quite average, I mean, among all the other monstrous infantry that we already talked about, and the charge bonus is a little low. Now, they have a lot of missile resistance, both as a pure missile resistance, and then they have an ability that I think that if the leadership is enough high, they will get a plus 25% of missile resistance. So yeah, in total 50% in the beginning of the battle, that it may be reduced if they, you know, if they lose a lot of health and so on. Now, it's a very tough decision where to put them, because they are great, but at the same time, for the price, probably not that, I mean, a little less, but I wanted to be confident, because with the Tides of Torment, probably they will get access to so many buffs that will make them incredibly strong. And then there is the version with the great weapons, that is basically the same, but with reduced melee defense, more charge bonus, and they get, of course, the anti-large bonus. So basically they are most suitable against large entities instead of infantry. And even here you can use them against monsters, even if there are already the skin walls, but yeah, they are more better for cavalry, and the Fimir are better for monsters, so we'll put them all in the S tier. But I have so many units in the S tier, so probably I will change something at some point. Okay, I made some adjustment, because as I told you, I think that the Monstrous Infantry are very, very strong, so even the lowest tier is still made of reliable units. So sorry for that, but yeah, I had to make a re-evaluation, so I put the Fimir one level down, because I think that they are the middle, I mean in the middle between this unit and this, and the Bile Trolls too, together with the skin walls that for me are still overpowered. Now let's talk about the construct. Let's start with the Ushabti from the Tomb Kings. Okay, these are with a good armor of almost 100. The speed is average. Okay, I would have expected them them to be slower. The melee attack is terrible. It's really terrible. The melee defense is still not that much, quite terrible. The weapon strength is it's a little less compared to, I mean, rather than it's lesser than the other Monstrous Infantry, but they get at least the armor piercing damage and the bonus versus infantry. The charge bonus is almost, I mean, it doesn't exist, we can say. They are construct, so they are immune to fear and terror, but at the same time they start to cause damage to themselves when their leadership is low. That it's a bad stuff. Now, in the faction of the Tomb Kings, they are actually great. If you compare to other Monstrous Infantry here, probably not, but I mean, they would lose the fight against, I mean, I think against all of them, probably not, only the Trolls they would win against the Trolls, but it's the only one. But yeah, in the Tomb Kings roster, they are great. They do great stuff, and they are a very nice support. They are aesthetically very, very good. So I would still not put them into the D tier, but I think the C tier it's good. Then we get the Ushabti with the great bows. Now, I didn't want to introduce purely missile Monstrous Infantry, like for example the the lead belchers or the flamers, because I think that they work in a different way. We cannot evaluate them into the same in the same tier ranking. In any case, the Ushabti with the great bows are almost the same. They just lose some leadership and some weapon strength, but they get this absurdly good missile attack. So they're both melee and the missile. That I mean, wow, it's crazy. It's not anti-large, but you will definitely use it against cavalry, monsters, and so on. It's truly effective. The range is 255, so a little less than an artillery, but far more than bowmen, crossbowmen, and so on. That's why I will put them into the S tier. Probably, I don't know, I think or the S or the A, probably the A, because they still lack of some melee capabilities. And then we get the Sepulchral Stalkers. Now we will talk to them compared to the Ushabti, just to understand the difference. They have a little less of armor, they have a little less of speed, they are more in the number, they have less melee attack, less melee defense, less weapon strength, less charge bonus. I mean, they have everything less, but they get the charge reflection, the charge defense, so in case they get attacked by, charged by cavalry and so on, they will have a great time. Then they have the magical attack that Ushabti don't have, the anti-large bonus. So they are very good against, cavalry, monsters. In this case, they are reliable. Even if their stats are lower, you will see that against other monsters, against cavalry, they will perform better. And then they have this missile attack that the range is very short, and that's a big problem. But when they hit, they deal a lot of damage to the enemy. It's still magical, ammo piercing, a lot of missile strength, and then they get the Stalk. The Stalk is a very great attribute because these huge monsters can move hidden around the map. And yeah, all together, even if the stats themselves may look a little underperforming, believe me that this unit is very, very great. You will have a lot of fun with them. And seriously, they are, you can trust them, okay? You can trust them in your army. That's why, yeah, I think they definitely deserve this place. Now we will talk about the Undead units, and we're gonna start with the Crypt Horrors. The Crypt Horrors are available in the Vampire Counts roster. They're not that great. I mean, they have very little armor, the speed is average. The melee attack is actually higher than most of the units here, but yeah, they have the regeneration. The weapon strength is lower than others, but higher than Ushabti. I think the same level of Ushabti. Charge bonus very little. They get the regeneration, that is good. Honestly, on the card they look better, but at the end in the Vampire Counts roster, I don't know, they don't perform that well, but at the same time, it's a roster that doesn't have many ammo-piercing units, and you will recruit many of them from your mid to even early at some cases to the late campaign. Okay, even in the late campaign I recruit them. I really think that the vampire counts should get a little of rework, because yeah, I mean, they work in a weird way for now, but yeah, I think they deserve at least the C tier. They are not that terrible. Then we get the Morgul that are available for both the vampire cost and the vampire counts. Now, compared to the Crypt Horrors, they have the same armor but better speed, not that much. Okay, if you think that I don't know, Morgul, they look very fast, but they're not that faster. They have reduced melee stats, but they got the frostbite. That is great, because if you are chasing down cavalry, infantry, you will reduce the speed and you can I mean, manage to catch them. The weapon strength is with I mean, they have more weapon strength with the anti-infantry bonus. They sacrifice a little of charge bonus. They don't have the regeneration, but they replenish their hit points when they are engaged in melee. They have the Strider ability, so no penalty for the terrain, missile resistance, and then the stalk. That, you know, that is an attribute that I love so much. That's why, of course, their ranking goes up with that. Overall, yeah, you can use them to, you know, some surprise attacks at the back of the enemy. You can use the stalk to going around and yeah, attack from the back and actually deal a lot of damage to infantry. Of course, be careful of arrows and if they get surrounded, because they have a very little armor, but still they can regenerate some hit points. So I think, yeah, the A tier is good for them. And then we get the Vargeist. The Vargeist is a unit available only in the Vampire Counts roster. They look a little weird. I mean, they look like, yeah, punk unit in this game. They have very little armor. Okay, it's I think just 10. I mean, they could have put 0 at this point. They are very fast because they are flying, and this is a nice ability of them. I recruit many of them in my late campaign. I mean, I fill my army with them because they are a very good flying option. They are very, very strong. The melee attack, it's definitely great, but they sacrifice a lot of melee defense. The weapon strength is yeah, I think the same of the Morgul, still 100 with the armor piercing damage. Then they get not the regeneration again, but they replenish the hit points when they are engaged in melee, and they get the frenzy. Overall, they are nice. I mean, the lack of armor, you don't feel that much in the battle. You can still attack, you know, heavy infantry. Of course, you know, hit one target, you know, one by one, don't multiple target together, because in that case they are in very low number with no armor, so they will get overwhelmed. But yeah, still I think they are the same level of the Mongol, and yeah, even if from the stats is not clear, believe me, they perform quite well. And then at the end we get the what's their name, the animated Hulks. That it's a unit that you can take it into the from the Vampire Coast roster. Honestly, I just put them here. I think it's a missed opportunity because they have a very nice model, but yeah, I really don't like them. They have this cannon that it can be a missile weapon, but it's not. And yeah, such a missed opportunity. But yeah, they're not good. I mean, they're just not good. The weapon strength is low. All the stats are quite low. They can be, of course, in the very early campaign, nice support for your infantry that I mean, it would be mainly made of zombies. But at the end, I recruit so few of them that I really think they're not necessary. Now let's talk about demons and the chaos related unit, and we're gonna start with the Kedai Fireborn from the faction of the Chaos Dwarfs. Now, one thing about this unit is that they are one of the most, I think if you don't consider Ogre, they may be the most expensive monstrous infantry in the game. That it's unbelievable because they're not that strong. Okay, But okay, just let's try to evaluate them neutrally. They have a good armor of 80, the speed, they're enough fast, I mean not like Minotaurs, but they still do their job. The melee attack is a little low, but they get flaming and magical damage. The melee defense is higher than average. The weapon strength is very high, I admit that, and they get also anti-infantry bonus and ammo piercing damage, of course. The charge bonus is bigger than many monstrous infantries here, and then they get plenty of abilities. The reforge, so they can see their hit points replenished by the dark masters. Some fire resistance, some physical resistance. They are still demons, so be careful of when they start to lose leadership, because they may cause damage to themselves. Overall, they are a nice support to Chaos Dwarves that they don't have many, if you consider that they are mostly made of artillery pieces, firing, so you may need some extra defense for your front line. But I'm not saying they are bad, just that they are not that strong, for being the most expensive unit here. Then we get the Chaos Spawn. Where is it? The Chaos Spawn, it's, I don't know what to say. Actually is not a bad unit. Okay, I think that many other people on YouTube, they talk about it like if it's the worst unit ever. My problem with that is just that there are many reskins. Okay, but if it would have been just one unit in one roster, I would have liked them. Okay, the model is nice. They get the unbreakable attribute. So when you play against them, you feel that, okay, that they are very hard to take down, and you have to defeat even the last one, because they have no fear. The armor is low, the speed is quite average, melee attack and melee defense are low, the weapon strength is very high. It's the higher here, okay, around in all the roster, but they don't get the ammo piercing damage. That is a weakness. You will decide against low tier infantry, they're probably better than all the others, but in the late game they may lack this ammo piercing damage. And yeah, the charge bonus is little, average for all these monstrous infantry. I would not feel to put them at the same level of the trolls and them, because even if I don't recruit them, I generally believe that they are good at what they do for their price. And then we get the Blood Beast of Khorne, that this is not a demon, but they are still related to Khorne, so still chaos. Now, fun fact that you will probably not believe, except the armor, they are better than the Minotaurs. Okay, they are better than the Minotaurs, and that first means that you should not underestimate the power of the armor. But also that they do more damage, okay, than them. They have more charge. I don't remember if more charge bonus, but yeah, they perform quite well. I like them. They can be boosted by Sheila, of course. And you can just build an army full of them with Sheila. They have the frenzy, they have the spell resistance, and all the Mark of Khorne related stuff. I like them. I don't know where to put them, because the lack of armor still made them inferior compared to the S tier units, and at the same time they don't have many unique traits that would justify being them in the A tier. And I have to say that Khorne have many damage dealers, so they are not that special in the Khorne roster, but they're still great. So I think I will leave them into the B tier. And then we get the Rat Ogre, that I think they're still quite chaos. Not the monogods, but to the Horned Rat. So now the Rat Ogre, I think that back in Total War Warhammer 2 I had a different opinion of them. I thought that they were strong, but in Total War Warhammer 3, with all the additions and other units that are evaluated, I don't use them anymore that much. I can see that they are weaker than I remember. They have still the frenzy, so enhanced attribute, a lot of I mean, a good weapon strength with armor piercing damage, a lot of charge bonus compared to the other Monstrous Infantry. The armor is low, the speed is enough good, and yeah, the melee attack and melee defense are very low. That I mean, if they were in more, I mean, in a bigger number, okay, but yeah, I think they're a nice support, but I think Skaven are already, you know, mid shield. They have a lot of missile units, a lot of spells, so yeah, probably in the C tier, just because you may need at some point some melee armor piercing support, but yeah, definitely not the best. And then we get the Fiends of Slaanesh. Now the Fiends of Slaanesh are crazy in a way that I cannot explain to you if you haven't played with Slaanesh. First, they are very fast. I mean, they're crazily fast. I think they're faster than many cavalry in this game. They lack armor because they are still a Slaanesh. They have a lot of leadership, that it's unexpected. The melee attack and melee defense are not that high, but they have the soporific mask that they reduce the stats of the enemy they hit and then magical damage. The weapon strength is a little lower than average because it's just 80 with armor piercing damage, and they get a little of charge bonus. Then they get the Strider ability, so immune to penalties of the terrain, the devastating flanker that increase their charge bonus when they hit the flank of the rear of the enemy, and then the spell resistance because they're still demon. Now, even from the stats, it doesn't look like they are crazily strong. They can hunt down every kind of cavalry, infantry, and you don't feel the lack of armor. Okay, I mean, unless they get surrounded, of course, or crossfire. But yeah, they are insanely good. Okay, they can survive pretty well and deal a lot of damage, and their animation are wow, are just wow. They use this all these you know, pincers and the serpentine tail. So yeah, I mean, overall they definitely deserve the place in their podium. And I think, yeah, we are over with the chaos related units. Now we will talk about the Miscellaneous unit before addressing Ogre Kingdoms. The first is the 3 kin from the High Hells. Now, I have contradictory feelings for them. I know that the community is a little too much in love with them. That's why I have to be very careful with my words. Now, these are these Monstrous Infantry, very armored, very defensive. They get a lot of melee defense, one of the highest in this tier ranking. They get the charge, the defense, but not the charge reflection. And yeah, they are immune to psychology. They are woodsmen, so they suffer no penalty when they are in the wood, but they get you know, increased stats. They have a missile resistance, spell resistance, or physical resistance. Yeah, physical resistance. They get some weakness to fire because they are 3. They are made of wood. They are exceptionally slow, so don't rely on them to you know, to run, to chase down stuff. But they are a nice support. They are very defensive. I mean, you can definitely use them as a wall, and even if they don't have the anti-large bonus, they still perform great against the cavalry and so on. But being slow, you know, it's a little harder to intercept cavalry that is trying to charge you, so you will end up to use them just as a support. The melee attack is very low, but as I said, the melee defense is great. The weapon strength is not that high and is not armor piercing, so it's not even the, you know, the chaos spawn that they don't get the armor piercing damage, but at least the damage is immense. No, in this case, no. And the charge bonus, of course, it doesn't exist. So you have to use them in a defensive way, and they may be good. Yeah, I think in the B tier they are enough. Yeah, they're the same level of the Blood Beast of Khorne for me. That is great. I just probably don't use them as much as I should. Then we get the Yetis, that someone may argue that they are Ogre, but I mean, just let's treat them as a not Ogre. The Yetis they don't have a lot of armor. They, compared to the Ogre, We can say that they have lower, I mean, compared to the main eaters, they have less melee attack, melee defense, but they get more weapon strength, a little less of a charge bonus. They have a chilling aura that debuff the enemies nearby for the speed and so on. They have the frostbite attack that reduces the speed, the magical damage. They're not that bad. I like to use them. They are weak to fire because they are still ice related units. I like to recruit a lot of them. Probably in another roster they would have get another used, but in the Ogre Kingdoms that it's already full of monstrous infantry, you would miss them some. You will overlook them many times. But I generally think that they are great. I mean, I can definitely put them into the B tier, and then they have the magical damage that it's something that Ogre Kingdom don't have. So if you have to play against a demon, I would suggest to get an army only of them. And then we get the Gorgers. Even here someone may object that they are Ogre, but I would still treat them differently from the Ogre themselves. Now they are less in number. Yeah, I think so. And they have the Stalk and the Unbreakable attribute that are very, very powerful because they will have no fear, they will never rout, and they can move hidden in the map. That is great. They have the Frenzy ability and the Glorious Charge of the Ogre, so you can definitely attack from the back of the enemy. You can just sneak around and then charge them, and yeah, it's great. Okay, they work well, and they add some variety, especially without the DLC that add the Golg Minotaurs. They definitely add variety to the Ogre Kingdoms roster, and I think they are very, very good. They lack armor, so you have to be very, very careful about this thing, because if they get spotted and then hit by missile arrows and so on, it's hard. And then they get more melee attack but less melee defense. So yeah, definitely an offensive unit and not defensive, and we can put them into the A tier. Now we can focus completely on Ogre Kingdoms. The first unit we're gonna talk about is the generic Ogre, that is the Ogre Bulls. Now, I don't recruit this unit, unless I have to, because they are available with the main building in the settlement, but when you get the military one, you will be already able to take the other version. And honestly, yeah, I never recruit them because they're the most basic one. They had nothing unique. I mean, they are the filler. Okay, you can decide between them and the Nobblers, but believe me, they are as a mid shield. It's probably better the Nobblers. That's why we'll put them into the D tier. Then we have the Ogre Bulls with the dual weapon. That is basically the same. They just get the anti-infantry bonus that at the end is great. Okay, they are not armor piercing, you have to know that, but yeah, we can say, why these are they? Who put them here? Okay, sorry. But they are good. I recruit them when I have to fight, especially in the early game, bunches of infantry in the same army. So I prefer to take them compared to the generic bulls. So I think we can put them into the C tier. And then we get the Ogre Bulls with the Iron Fist that increase the melee defense and the armor, and it adds a little of shield that will not cover from many arrows, but I think it's just the 30 or 20%. But yeah, definitely better than the generic Ogre Bulls, and at the end you can get a more defensive early game Ogre Monstrous Infantry front line. That's why I will put them here. In my early campaign I actually just recruit both of them. I made this formation with the Ogre Bulls with Iron Fist, of course, in the front, and at the back the one with the dual weapons that will be the damage dealer. Then we get the Iron Guts. Now the Iron Guts, they are definitely not the upgraded of them, and they are not less than the Minotaurs. Okay, it's important this. You have to consider them as a unique unit, okay, not as an upgrade, because they are very, very different from any Ogre in the roster. They get plenty more of armor, okay, a lot of armor more compared to the normal Ogre Bulls. They get more leadership, more melee attack, more melee defense, more weapon strength. They are armor piercing. Okay, and here they are armor piercing, so they start to be great against armored heavy units. Then they get the charge bonus, finally. That, I mean, one more charge bonus in general, so they are better at everything, but they are very, very armored. So you cannot use them. I mean, you can use them as a tank compared to the other ogre that we already talked about, and even compared to the Minotaurs. Okay, these are the tanks. These are the heavy damage dealer, because yeah, they have plenty of armor piercing damage, and they still get the anti-infantry bonus. So if you have to eat even in the late campaign a lot of infantry, I would suggest to take them instead of the Minotaur. Okay, that's why we will put them into the A tier. Believe me, they're probably the strongest units for the Ogre Kingdoms. I mean, for the price effectiveness, of course. Then we get the Minotaurs, finally. The generic version, I don't recruit many of them. I prefer to wait and recruit directly the version with the Iron Fist, but they're definitely better than the Ogre Bulls. They have the armor piercing damage, more weapon strength, pure with no bonus than the Iron Guts, but of course they cost more. They have another building. That's why I don't feel to put them into the same category. They don't have that much armor as the Iron Guts. Okay, so you cannot use them in a very defensive way, but they are more offensive. But they have a lot of melee attack and melee defense, even more than the Iron Guts. So in general, I will put them here just because I don't recruit them too much, and I recruited the others, like for example the one with Iron Fist, that they get more melee defense and more armor, and yeah, you can see the difference because there are 10 Minotaurs are immune to psychology, just for saying, and in this case they are very good. Okay, they can be your front line for your late campaign, because they are they have, you know, mid armor compared to between the Iron Guts and the normal Minotaurs, but they get more melee defense, so they are very, very sturdy. And yeah, I don't know if here this is a hard choice. Yeah, probably 8 here, because I recruited seriously a lot of them. Then we get the Minotaurs with the great weapons. In this case, they are most suitable for against large entities. Now, in the Ogre Kingdoms, there are other options against large monsters, cavalry, and so on. And they're still very, very expensive. I think they are the highest tier of the building. So I'm not fully sure that they deserve to be here. I mean, as I said, for the relationship between price and everything, because yeah, I mean, if in case of the of the Minotaurs with the Iron Fist, you really need a late game front line. With them, you can still take the Crushers with the anti-large bonus, the Monsters. So I don't know. Yeah, I think they will be more suitable here. Then we get the Minotaurs with the Ogre Pistol. That I have to say that I like the model. I like the idea of this Ogre with a big pistol. But I'm a little concerned about the real usage of that. This missile attack, even if it's strong on the card at the end, sometimes it misses the target, and you know, they have the range. The range is good. Yeah, on the card is good, but the performance, it doesn't satisfy me. That's why I think I will put them. I mean, you know, they're very lovely. I like to recruit them, but I cannot tell you that you can see the difference with the missile attack. At least for me. Of course, you are free to share your opinion, the contradiction, the opposite opinion in the comment. I would not put them in the same tier of the A tier of the Iron Fist, and not in the same tier of the Ogre Kingdoms with the great weapons. So I think I would put them here, even if I understand that they are strong, but yeah, I mean, their missile attack doesn't satisfy me. Then we get the Golga Minotaurs. That is, I mean, the upgraded version of everything, because they get more armor. It's less than the Iron Guts, but still very, very big. But they have more melee attack, less melee defense, so they're unoffensive units. The weapon strength is insane, one of the highest here, and armor piercing with the anti-infantry bonus. They get okay, not the Stalk, but the Vanguard deployment, so you can try to hide them in a forest. They have an ability that now I don't remember, honestly. Okay, I should go to check. But yeah, in any case, for me, they're great. Okay, you needed a DLC to play with them, and I would have expected something a little more crazy. But they are definitely, you know, the upgraded version, a good balance between, you know, the Iron Guts and the Minotaurs. But still, the craziest Ogre here, and yeah, the best. Definitely the best, but of course, far more expensive. But yeah, I think they deserve the S tier, even given the price. And then we get the Plague Ogre. Now, compared to the Minotaurs, they have the Mark of Nargol, of course, so they get more armor, the poison effect, less speed, because Nargol, they're slow, of course. The melee defense is higher, and then they, yeah, I mean, nothing that change about it. They are Minotaurs, but, you know, that they like Nargol. This is the version with the anti-infantry bonus. That is very, very great. Honestly, I like the Plague Ogre. I think they are an insane unit. You can use them in your Nargol roster, even if you have some armor piercing damage, but both armor piercing and anti-infantry is a little more rare here. And yeah, I think they definitely deserve the S tier. They have some unique animations. So Creative Assembly really showed us in this with this example that they can make a high quality reskin that is still a reskin, but you know, the weapons are different. They have some worms that they can take from their bodies, and yeah, definitely good. And the same for the version with the great weapons. So I mean, it's the same of the main eater with great weapons version, but with more defense, less speed, and so on. And yeah, I will put them also into the S tier. Thank you for following me, and see you. Actually, I had a lot of fun making this video. It was very smooth, even if it's 4 by morning. So yes, okay. Thank you for following me, and see you very, very soon.